In this tutorial, we'll look at the showing feedback system in RPS Platinum. The system makes it really quick for the listing agent, or for the seller actually, to request feedback from the showing agents. It's very quick and easy for the showing agents to respond, and in the end what you have is a report that can be presented to the seller on your branded stationery that provides the feedback and really makes the discussion, particularly about price, a lot easier and smoother. There's one other function of the showing feedback system, and that is it helps you even to obtain the listing in the first place. The ability to present the showing feedback in a really easy to understand way will help you get the listing in the first place. So let's look at the showing feedback system, and I'm actually going to begin by showing you how the feedback request is initiated. It's actually initiated on your website and not in the control panel. So here I am on my listings page. I'm going to click on my first listing here on Anthony Trail. And when we go to the bottom of this listing, you see the Equal Opportunity Housing logo, and it is actually, you see the tooltip pop up request feedback, it's actually a live link. I'll move off it and hover back on. The reason this live link is here is it's going to bring up the form to request feedback, and we make it on the public site so that the homeowner can actually initiate and be part of the process as well if you tell them that it's here. Before we request feedback, just note right above these blanks for requesting more information and downloading disclosures. The report contains an item for request for more information, and it refers to these blanks here. So let's request feedback by clicking the icon and simply filling in a name. So I'll fill in Andy Agent. And simply put in Andy's email. And that fast, I'm ready to send this request for feedback to Andy. Now, in the case where you have told the homeowner, the seller, about this, they could be taking the stack of business cards at the open house and filling this in for you and being part of the process if you choose. So let's click Submit Request. And you see the feedback success. Your feedback request has been sent. Now, let's look at Andy Agent's inbox and see what he has received from us. So we'll sign in as Andy. So here's the email requesting feedback. I'll open that and scroll down just a little bit. And you see the wording here. Andy Agent, you recently showed my listing at X address. Would you please take a few moments to provide me with your feedback on the showing? Please click on the link below and complete the feedback form. This will take less than 30 seconds and be very valuable to us. The wording of this email can be changed, as I'll show you later in the system, so you could write a different message if you wish. But the link here, complete the feedback form, is the same as the Give Feedback button. Click here to give feedback, or follow the link. They all lead back actually to your site. So let's click the link, and you see that Andy Agent has been brought to my site to a quick questionnaire to rate the property. First of all, to rate the location, which is excellent. To rate the interior condition, we'll call it good. The exterior condition, also good. And here, the pricing question, it's a matter of priced right, overpriced, or underpriced. Well, I'm going to say overpriced. And if I'd like, I can include a comment here in the comments field. And sometimes you'll get detailed comments, sometimes not. Let's click Submit. And we've succeeded. The feedback request has been returned. And now let's go to the dashboard and open up in the main menu the Listing Management section and come down to Showing Feedback. Now I've got 5 homes here on which I've requested feedback and gotten some responses. We want Anthony Trail in Conifer, Oregon. You see this column, number of feedback requests is 8. The number of responses is 7. The number of info requests, those are the blanks at the bottom of the individual listing that I mentioned, none filled out here, and then the report. But before we go into the report, notice that each of these fields headings is clickable. You can sort on the column. So I can sort by street address, by the city, by the number of feedback requests and responses, info requests. And now let's view the report for the Anthony Trail home. So at the top we have the reminder of which home we're looking at, and then feedback was requested from the following agents. So we have Bill Wilson, Tim Jackson, etc. We've got 8 agents, their company, their phone number, their email address. Now these columns here, first request and latest request, are important. This is how the system works. You saw the initiation, the first feedback request. What happens is if you do not receive an email back within 3 days, the system will automatically send out a second request on day 3 and a third request on day 6. So what you see here is first request and latest request. Now these were all done today, but if some of these people did not respond, you would see the second request 3 days later, and in some cases a third request on day 6. So one other thing to let you know at this point, some agents, if you know them well, are likely to get the email maybe on their iPhone, smartphone, and see the questionnaire, and if they've done business with you, they know, hey, it's just a quick 4-question questionnaire. I needed to talk to you anyway, let me give you a call. So if they call in their feedback, the system, of course, will not be able to prevent the second and third emails from automatically going out and requesting feedback. In that case, what you would do is go to your own inbox. Our system always copies each feedback request that you send out to your own inbox. You need to go in there as the person from whom you requested feedback and fill out the form for them. And that will prevent any additional emails, the second and third on day 3 and 6, from going out. So let's scroll down a little bit. And now we see the feedback responses. And we've got the showing agent, again the exterior ranking, the interior ranking, the location. And here's the critical thing. We'll click on the pricing category and I'll sort. So of the responses here, the 7 responses, one person thought the pricing was right, and the rest thought the home was overpriced. So the feedback coming to the homeowner isn't coming only from you, it's coming from those who viewed the house. And in some cases you can see there are no comments, but in others, great home but overpriced by $10K. Client really loved the home but felt it's not competitively priced. So in the end, the feedback may result in a much easier price reduction for you to obtain. So there we have requests and responses. At the bottom of the feedback request page, we have a couple of options. First, I can click to format the page for print. And I can print this out if I'm going to be meeting with the seller face-to-face. But I can click to send the report to the seller. And let's take a look at what that looks like. First of all, you have a little bit of work to do to construct the message. So I'm going to write in the subject, feedback on showings of your home, if I can spell right. And I'm going to click send me a copy. The email blaster does not automatically send you a copy of each piece that goes out. So if you do want to get a copy, and you probably should, I'd select send me a copy. Now, it's best to enter in the seller's name. So I'll say John. And now we have our email ready to go. Let's click preview and take a look at how it looks. So it's on my branded stationery, John's name, the link to the feedback report signed by me, and now let's click on the feedback report and take a look at how it will look when John gets it. Again, it brings, in this case, the seller back to my website, and it's very nicely configured here on the site with the home address and feedback requests, followed by the feedback responses. So then it has an interpretation of how to read the rankings, which you can edit in a way I'll show you in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and send that. So that completes the loop. Easy to request feedback, easy for the showing agents to provide it. The report is nicely configured onto your branded stationery and then reviewed on your website. But let's open up again and look at feedback. And I want to look first at the email template. I mentioned to you that you can change the wording of the email sent to the showing agents requesting their feedback. So here's all the wording. The only thing you need to know is anything with the ampersand, at address, at feedback link, at property. Those you need to leave untouched as the system is pulling in necessary information in those parts of the email. So you can rewrite everything else. And if after a while you change it and decide, you know, I'm going to go back to the original message, we always have the default message button here so you can return to the original reading of this message that comes with your system. Now the feedback settings are important. The way that I showed the feedback report going to the seller, it included all the information that had been requested, but you actually have control over what shows and doesn't. So you have 3 columns: don't show, show only if it exists, or always show. And it applies to the additional info, the feedback requests, the feedback responses, and the rankings explanations. It also applies to the seller view of the additional information, feedback requests, responses, and explanations. So you have control over what the seller sees when the report actually arrives. And I mentioned that you could edit the way the 1 through 5 scoring is done, and that happens in these windows here. So I'll click Save and return to the feedback section. So that is the showing feedback system in RPS Platinum. Because it's easy for showing agents to respond to your requests, just 4 questions and a little blank for comments if they want to make them, they're likely to fill out those requests because it is so easy. But remember, the other function of the feedback system is having another tool in your toolkit that helps you get the listing in the first place.